It's your returning champion, Elgintensity. Many of you might be aware that 3 of Lizzo's former dancers have sued her, but she's recently run afoul of another group of people with no necks. Lizzo went on TikTok and reacted to the South Park special The End of Obesity, which took aim at the fat acceptance activist by comparing her music to an appetite suppressant alternative. Let's see how South Park immortalized that hog with its taxidermy alternative.
Guys, my worst fear has been actualized. I've been referenced in a South Park episode.
It's a tie.
I'm so scared. I'm gonna blind duet to it right now.
She tried to say that in one take but ran out of breath, so the intro had more cuts than Lizzo's anatomy chart. She obviously watched this beforehand once her yes men softened the blow, but Lizzo will eventually react to everything blindly when the diabetic retinopathy kicks in.
Here we go.
I'm telling you, Sheila, these new drugs are pretty amazing. I was feeling so ashamed of myself, watching Randy go out and exercise all the time and not eating as much. But I just don't have the same kind of willpower he has.
Which of the drugs are you on, Sharon? Ozempic, Mounjaro?
Oh no, I talked to my doctor. He said insurance would only pay for those if I had diabetes.
But if you can't afford them, then how are you managing your weight?
Don't you know, Sheila? Now there's a whole new obesity drug for those of us who can't afford Ozempic and Mounjaro. I've controlled all my cravings to be thinner with Lizzo.
It's Lizzo.
This is so unconvincing. She never covers her mouth. Compare this to her performance in The Mandalorian, where she applied a cutting tool to a much smaller creature and didn't eat it. Now that's good acting.
FDA-approved Lizzo makes you feel good about your weight, and it costs 90% less than Ozempic.
I've lowered my standards and my expectations.
Fat girls don't lower their expectations, just their life expectancies.
It's Lizzo. In case studies, 70% of patients on Lizzo no longer cared how much they weighed.
In the US, overweight adolescents have a 70% chance of becoming overweight or obese adults, which increases to 80% if at least one parent is overweight or obese. With their fat acceptance platform, the Wolfer of all treats can pump up those rookie numbers.
I don't give 2 shits.
Lizzo helps you eat everything you want and keep physical activity to a minimum. Some patients report constipation while listening to Lizzo. Stop listening to Lizzo if you experience suicidal thoughts.
That's one way to describe eating yourself into an early grave. Between that and her WebMD diagnosed depression, Lizzo must be one of the toughest cash cows any agent has had to manage. If I wanted to keep an eye on a giant round tank in its own dimension, I'd build a technodrome.
Serious side effects may include pancreatitis, hypothermia,
Cut the fucking album!
When you're obese, the closest thing to hypothermia you'll ever experience is the icy touch of death. If the commercial listed more of the health effects of being fat, it would read longer than everything that's killed Kenny.
Your ears. Are you living with concerns of obesity?
Ask about the power of not giving a fuck with Lizzo.
Period. That's crazy. I just feel like, damn, I'm really that bitch. I'm really that bitch.
Whose knees really sound like those beads.
I really showed the world how to love yourself and not give a fuck to the point where these men in Colorado know who the fuck I am and put it on their cartoon that's been around for 25 years.
These men from Colorado, said the Punchline about the comedy writers. Matt and Trey have treated celebrities much worse than this. Lizzo wasn't even featured, only mentioned. If they wanted to, they could have gone scorched earth on that ham planet.
I'm really that bitch, and I'll show y'all how to not give a fuck, and I'm gonna keep on showing you how to not give a fuck.
A lot of Lizzo's followers have been applauding her for taking the joke so well, but all she did was cope, like they were laughing with her instead of at her. What she calls not giving a fuck is actually neglecting her health and encouraging others to do the same. The Lizzo commercial kept people from wanting to lose weight so that they'd continue to eat sugary cereal and other slop. No one in their right mind would be proud of making that kind of impact. The show was making fun of her for being a person of calories and spreading a dangerous message, but Lizzo's so delusional that all she cared about was being famous enough for a name drop. It doesn't matter that you're on the map when your physical features call for a cartographer. During the special, Cartman told his friends, "Rich people get Ozempic, poor people get body positivity. It doesn't cost much to get in shape, and good health saves money in the long run. It does require effort, which is why most fat acceptance activists refuse to work out or eat less." South Park might have stopped killing Kenny every episode, but obesity essentially ensures that you'll be the first one in your group of friends to die.
0!